Hey everybody, it's Flyin Ryan here with a review of the pretty unique Cheerson CX-33. This is technically a hexacopter in the Y6 formation, so you've got 6 motors with, two motors on each 3 arms. So it's technically a hexacopter, though I still think it's fair to call this a tricopter. I mean, it's got 3 arms but 6 motors. So anyway, it's technically a hexacopter in the Y6 formation, but pretty unique. There's not a lot of models that look like this, and pretty cool design. I think it's a really unique look to it. This does have altitude hold though, which is a little bit weird. This is one of the earlier models that started to have that feature, so it doesn't work too great, it seems like to me. It was a little bit iffy in this one, but that ends up making it so that your throttle recenters itself here, so your height is always set, and when you give more throttle it just lifts it up, and then when you let off then it'll hold that height. So it makes it a little bit weird to fly this like sporty. However, it does have the camera on it, so I think they've kind of given it more of a camera platform sort of flying style. But I wish it would have been a little bit more sporty flying, because it just looks like a sport, like racing spaceship or something. I just think it looks really cool. But the camera is a 2 megapixel HD camera, 720p. Does not come with the micro SD card, so you've got to supply your own. And the lens is adjustable, so you can angle it down quite a bit if you want. If you angle it forward like this, you do end up seeing the props in the view there, so keep that in mind. You may want to angle it down a little bit to keep the props out of view. It does have LEDs here. These front clear pods light up blue, as you can see in the picture there, so that's pretty cool. They're nice and bright and visible. And on the back here we've got 2 LEDs, and those are red, so blue in the front and red in the back. I like that. It's good orientation for the lights. We'll go ahead and look at the transmitter in a little more detail. So here we've got up and down. So since we've got height hold now, in the throttle is centered, the props want to always spin. So when you first turn it on, you either have to press this to take off, which then it'll lift up, a few feet or whatever and start hovering there, or you can hold both sticks to the outside corners to arm the motors, and then they'll start slowly spinning, and then as you give throttle, then it'll jump up and start to hover, and then you can land by pressing down and then disarming again by holding the both sticks to the outside corners. Or you can press this button to do an auto landing, and then it'll just land itself. So a little bit different when you want to start and stop flying, because you've got to arm or disarm the motors. Whereas, a normal quad with a normal throttle, you just start giving it throttle and it goes. Let's see, our camera operation button is here, so you take pictures or video at the same one. I'd imagine it's click for pictures and press and hold for video. This frequency over here is not used on this version. There is a 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi version, so you'd have a monitor, and then the frequency is to change what channel the FPV is being sent through. You can recalibrate it by holding both sticks down to the right, so that'll recalibrate the accelerometer. I think that covers. There are no rates. You've got no rates, no flips, so it's pretty bland. It's just the one rate. Not really too much you can do with this. It's just the camera. So that's what I was saying. I wish they would have made it more of a sport flyer than a camera quad. It does have a 2S LiPo, and that is, let's get that zoomed in, 360 milliamp hour 2S LiPo, and we've got a USB charger for that. That charges through the balance plug. That takes about an hour to charge, and you get about 6-minute and 40-second long flights with the camera. If you take the camera off, you get about 7-minute flights, so it doesn't make a huge difference. There is no LVC warning. When it hits LVC, it'll just auto land. So a little weird there, you know, especially if it's going to land and you don't know what it's over at the time and there's no warning that it's coming. So you'll want to kind of monitor your flight time and make sure that you either land it yourself or have it somewhere where it's ready to land on its own when it hits that LVC cutoff. Let's see, we've got a bunch of prop guards here. It actually has 8 prop guards, which is kind of weird because you can mount 2 per arm. There's a mount position here and a mount position there, so you've got 1 prop guard for the top prop and 1 for the bottom, but even then you only need 6, so it has 2 spare prop guards. But then the silly thing is it only has 2 spare props. It has 6 props and only comes with 2 spares. So if you get one crash, you're likely to break both props on that arm and you only get 1 replacement. And I actually did manage to break it. I don't know if, yeah, there you can kind of see it. You know, when I was testing it indoors, I clipped a wall and it broke a prop. So they're pretty brittle. So I already had to replace 1, and that means I'm done. Like you know, they're 2 different pitches, so I've only got that 1 spare for that. So if I need to replace another prop, I've got to go buy replacements now. Let's see, I think there's something else in there. Yeah, so we've got also a screwdriver, 2 screwdrivers actually, and then I think, yeah, these are like little caps on the top of the props in case you lose those. So a couple spares of those. Let's see. Yeah, I think I said no SD card, no flips, no rates. Pretty bland as far as flying this goes. Let's see, any other... Oh, I wanted to talk about... so it does have an on-off switch here, which I like, but the battery compartment is really tight. So you've got this little arm you move out of the way, and then the camera comes down, and then you can get the battery in there. But there, I mean, it is really tight. I mean, you can see as I get the battery in, that takes up your entire room, and I've got all these cables to deal with still. So I found what I need to do is I put the balance plug down in that corner. As you can kind of see, there's an opening there, so you can get the balance plug in that opening and kind of push that whole cable into the body and get it out of the way. And then the other plug can kind of sit on top of the battery, and then it plugs in right there. So a little bit awkward, but I found that once you plug that, or once you put the balance plug into the body there through that corner, that actually helps quite a bit. So I wanted to share that tip with everybody. Let's see, I think that covers all the details now. Let me look one more time at all my notes. Yep, that does it. So let's go take it out for a flight. Alright, this is the flight review of the CX-33. A little Y6 configured tricopter with a little camera on it, and then it also has altitude hold. No rates or flips on this one, so a little bit weird. It does have an auto takeoff and an auto landing. Give myself a little space here in case it goes a little high on the auto takeoff. So I can just start by pressing the auto takeoff button here on the right. Alright, no problem. Nice low level takeoff. And so now the throttle basically just acts as your altitude setting. So it just recenters itself, and wherever you set it, it's supposed to hold that height. It doesn't do a great job at it, but not too bad. There's our yaw rate. Not overly sporty. Looks pretty cool though. I like that Y6 tricopter design. The neighbor's out doing some grilling. Alright, let's go ahead and start the camera now. Bring it back a little bit so I can see. Yep, looks like the red light's blinking, so it should be filming now. Get a little bit of height. Bit of a breeze out today. Kind of fighting it up there, but it looks like it's holding its height pretty well. Kind of fly around and film a bit. Get some footage of the cookout. Try not to fly over them. That's full pitch into the wind there. It's definitely not a speed demon. Looks like the dog wants to play with it. Making some weird rattling sounds, but I suppose that's not too surprising with all the moving parts on this. Flies nice and smooth though, even in the wind. It's just not overly sporty. Let's stop the camera and just go back to doing some more flying to wrap it up. Alright, well, I think that was all there is to show. Bring it back and I'll hit my little auto landing button. And now it's going to land it, so that's just throttling down on its own. Since this has altitude hold, alright, you can go ahead and stop. Stop. So yeah, since it has altitude hold, the motors just move on their own constantly, so you got to use those takeoff and landing buttons to get the motors to go and stop. I forget if there's any like stick hold that you can do to start them and stop them, but maybe holding the throttle down would stop the motors as well, but you can just use those auto takeoff and landing buttons. Alright, well there we go. That's the review of the CX-33, the Y6 configuration tricopter. Pretty neat looking little thing. Alright, we'll check the video description for a price and purchase link. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.